Welcome back, folks. It's another great day here on Valiant Renegade. Make sure you hit that like, hit that subscribe, hit that notification bell. Share this sucker out on the social medias. And do leave a comment before you head out today. Because this is where Hollywood comes to get put through the business and financial lens of reality. It's time. Renegade Online. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good to see everybody out there once again. Hope you all had a fine weekend. I did. Busy weekend. A little exhausted as always, but good to see everybody out there in Renegade land. Good to have the Renegade Nation back here. Once again, about 200 of you as we get rocking and rolling here between X and YouTube. I'll be honest with you. I was trying to figure out, I had a late start today. I'm trying to figure out like show topics. This is going to be a really, at least the mic ain't muted, right? I know. Thank you, Marcus. Trying to figure out what to go through. And I'm like, I need to have some more casual shows. I miss just kind of the off the cuff casual shows. We just kind of scroll through the news and see what's up. And maybe I need to start doing that more often. I don't know. You guys let me know what you think in the chat. The last couple of weeks, I have been kind of changing my habits and my routines. I've been going to the gym a lot more, obviously, so that's taken up some evenings, but I need to do it. And part of me is thinking, like, maybe I need to go back and do some more live shows again. I don't know. We'll see. Casual, no pants. No, I've got the pants on. That's okay. I've still got the pants on. Araxis, thank you for the 5 gifted Valiant Renegade channel memberships. Much appreciated as always, my good friend. Good to see you here. Juliet, good morning, VR and Valientes for $2. Let me tell you what, thank you to Juliet especially. I set the live show up today. It was later than normal, and I forgot to set the schedule up correctly in StreamYard. That was my fault. And I set it, and it was like instant. And Juliet's like, what time's the show today? And as soon as she said that, she DM'd me. And I'm like, oh, crap. I know what I did. I know exactly what I did. And I fixed it. So thank you, Juliet. MedMutt, thank you for the 5 gifted Valiant Renegade channel memberships out there. Much appreciated. And Snarky, for a big $20 here, I'm reduced to watching NASCAR highlights, whether it's chasing the broadcast over 5 platforms. To Kyle Larson's winless year, I could not care any less, he says. The sport has sold out to media, and it will cost them fans like me. Snarky, I know I've got a lot of friends that are big NASCAR fans like you. I never really got into it, not because I don't like it. It was just I never got into it. But when I do watch it on rare occasions, it is very entertaining. I'll say that. So I don't know exactly what you're talking about here, but I take it for what it is. I've heard the name Kyle Larson, I guess. But yeah, I get it. We all have our druthers. I'm looking forward to hopefully a better year for the New Orleans Saints this year, for sure. They've had a rough many years. No surprise since the loss of Drew Brees. I mean, that was expected. But we have a new quarterback by the name of Tyler Shaw. And hoping that he does something spectacular. The kid seems to have a lot of promise. He really does. So I am hoping for something special there. I really, truly am. We'll see how that rolls out. Speaking of the New Orleans Saints, I will be in the Saints' enemy territory in Atlanta 2 weekends from now. A little less than 2 weeks, I'll be heading that way. We talked about this before with Dragon Con. If you can make it out to Dragon Con, make sure you get your butts there. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'll be there with Pro and the girls from Force of Light, Michelle and Natalie, and maybe a few others. I think we're going to try to do a bit of an informal kind of spur-of-the-moment meetup on that Friday evening. And we'll send out some more details as we get closer to it. So you guys let me know if you can make it. So thank you guys for sending in the super chats. Let's see. What do we got here? Well, as always, we'd like to start the show with this.
Are you ready? Oh, please.
Line up, you nerds. Who wants a shot at the champ? Whoa.
Yeah, well. Appreciate it, Snarky, and appreciate all the guys sending in the membership gifts. This one is for you. We haven't done this one in a while.
Oh, great. Now Jay's begging for super chats. You know what? I don't want to hear it, Valiant. You know why? Because when Valiant super chats, he does it straight for clout. He gives $100 to Geeks and Gamers, sends $100 to FNT. You know what he does when he comes in my channel? Member message. But you know what? I appreciate him. I wish Valiant had more days in Florida because I loved hanging out. I love Valiant Renegade. The dude's a legend, man. I hope Valiant Renegade, he's such a great YouTuber and he's got the numbers. I hope he gets to 1 million subs. Valiant, what are you doing, man?
I don't know how to put this, but I'm kind of a big deal.
Now, the chance of me getting to 1 million subs, not great, but that's okay. I'm just here. I'm here. You guys can help make it happen. I'd love to see 100,000 eventually, although it's not gonna kill me. It's frustrating being stuck at 91, 92,000 constantly for over a year now, but every time I kind of get momentum, YouTube then sucks away 100 subs, 1,000 subs. It just they've put me in the box. It is what it is. So take it for that. But not complaining. We're still here. But hey, let's get into a little bit of box office here as we kind of get rocking and rolling. Let's talk about some of this stuff. I did get to go see Insidious Out of the Further on Thursday night this past week. I enjoyed it. I actually enjoyed it a lot more than I did the previous entry for Insidious. I think this is the 6th of the Insidious series. If you're not familiar with it, good James Wan series. I really loved the first and the second one, especially with Patrick Wilson, and good horror franchise. It's changed obviously over the years with the subsequent entries to that, just because the cast has changed. The stories have kind of graded away from the original cast, with the exception of Lynn Shay, who is the medium basically, who connects people to the further. I really did enjoy it though. Had a good time. Took Renegade Jr. Thursday night. 25.3 million this opening weekend at the domestic box office, and you can see here not a whole lot of new stuff at the domestic box office this weekend. We're getting into the dog days of summer here, kids, and this is usually when the box office kind of slows down a smidge and we don't see as much activity in terms of new releases. But let's look what we've got here. $60 million worldwide box office, production budget of $18 million, which is pretty much on par with what we would expect from a horror movie release here, in this one from Sony Pictures. And Sony has the top 2 movies at the box office this weekend between Spider-Man, brand new, whatever it is, and Insidious Out of the Further. And Spider-Man still took the win this weekend, even over Insidious. I think Spider-Man in its 3rd weekend at this point. But nonetheless, $60 million in its opening weekend. Sony's probably very happy with this. We continue to remind folks, Sony has one of the most relatively unique business models in modern Hollywood. Not quite as unique as, say, Lionsgate, with what they do with selling international distribution before a movie hits theaters. But Sony has the big deal with Netflix that's reportedly worth nearly $1 billion a year to crank out movies like Insidious and Spider-Man and so on and so forth because, hey, it doesn't kind of matter what Sony does at the box office to an extent because Netflix is picking up the check for Sony Pictures and Columbia TriStar to go ahead and continue to make these films. Now, that being said, Insidious Out of the Further is going to go down as a relative success at the box office because of its really well-controlled, low horror movie budget. Even on the sixth entry for this kind of film, $18 million. Probably not much more than another 20 or 30 million in terms of global marketing. Horror movies generally don't get a whole lot of grift in terms of what gets spent for distribution. But in that sense, Insidious Out of the Further is going to be a financial success for Sony. This will probably leg out to somewhere around 120 million, maybe 150 million globally. They will have recovered all of their costs through theater ticket sales, maybe make a little bit of profit. That, of course, doesn't include things like PVOD and physical media sales after the fact. And then, of course, they've got the big fat Netflix check, and I suspect that Insidious will do very, very well on Netflix. The entire Insidious library gets a boost when another chapter comes out, as is the case with most legacy or multi-entry type products like this, where you've got a legacy intellectual property with a very vaunted history in this case. So if you like the horror movie stuff, if you like the Insidious franchise, I'd recommend you check this one out. Definitely much better than the end of Woke Street, which has totally flopped. And again, totally flopped in the same vein that we call a lot of other shots out here because of the enormous budget that was spent on it. Let's go to the full chart here and talk about some of this stuff. Paw Patrol is $100 million worldwide against, I think we pulled this up last week. What was it, like $40-50 million, if that, to even put this movie together, maybe less. Again, this is one of these things from Paramount. They'll make plenty of money once it hits streaming because Paramount originally as a streaming service was a advertising-based system first. So Paramount's doing pretty well with the ad-based dollars, and that's something to bear in mind. But Paw Patrol in its second weekend beats the end of Oak Street or the end of Woke Street. This is now at $85 million. Paw Patrol at over 100. Remember, Paw Patrol started last weekend with relatively the same box office as the end of Woke Street. And now End of Woke Street has fallen $20 million behind. I can't say this is much of a surprise. The word of mouth for this film has been pretty pitiful, especially from people like me who went to go see it on Thursday night previews and determined that it was a piece of trash. And it is a piece of trash. Thank God it was over in about an hour and a half because I couldn't take much more. After 30 minutes, I wanted to leave. After an hour, I wanted to I wanted to put arsenic in my popcorn. And after an hour and a half, I was thrilled to be able to walk out of there and never think about this movie again. For all the reasons we discussed before. Bad cinematography, terrible CGI, generally a cast that was well put together, but performed incredibly flat due to a piss-poor script for this movie. Nothing inspiring, nothing to get excited about. None of the characters did you cheer or root for. None of the characters did you even remotely care about. And that's a shame because this movie had a lot of potential. I was very much looking forward to it. But it's flat dead. After 10 days, the end of Woke Street has managed to pull in a paltry $85 million against an $85 million production budget from Warner Brothers. What a shit show. What an absolute dumpster fire. And let me tell you what, all of this was wholly avoidable. All of the pieces and parts were there for this movie to be successful. But at the end of the day, they decided to go with men are bad, girl boss, bad writing. Basically, this was, if I could compare it to something, although this might be a bit of an over-the-top, reference piece, it's basically The Acolyte, right? We really wanted to give you girl boss, women in charge, men suck story, but we did such a bad job of writing it. Even though we had all the pieces and parts to make something great, we gave you garbage because lazy, because bad talent in terms of writing and directing, as far as I'm concerned. And yes, I know the director of this movie has a pedigree behind him. I get that, but somewhere along the way, this individual, along with his writing room, went way off the rails and delivered one of the shittiest movies of the year. Really and truly. It is what it is. Warner Brothers here has got $85 million in the ground in terms of production. I would probably throw in at least another $50 million based on what I've seen out there in terms of marketing, if not more. But I'd say $50 million would be a fair middle ground. Probably about 135, maybe 140 million all-in cost on this. This movie probably needs around close to $300 million globally just to break even. It's not getting anywhere close. Just very, very poorly received for reasons that we have discussed. What else can I say? I don't know. Nothing further. Spider-Man Brand New Day. Let's go to that one. Or let's tell you what, let's go to the Odyssey first. Continues to roll along. We told you this thing was probably going to get a few weeks ago to 1.5 because of China and Korea and Japan. And it's looking like we're screaming that way now. The UK still leads the international box office at 92 million. China may not have all the data in yet. 36 million here. And if we scroll down, still rest of the world, 114 million of unallocated yet international box office here. But let's look at Japan. Let's look at some of the international territories here that kind of came in late. Where are we? Actually, is Japan even on the list? Well, thank you, the numbers. It's not there. South Korea is at about 35 million. I would suspect that Japan is probably somewhere relatively close to that within reason. Yeah, I'm not blind, guys, right? Yeah, no, I'm not seeing it on here. Not seeing it on here. The Odyssey continues to surprise. And again, I've talked about this before, and I think the biggest reason the Odyssey is where it is because IMAX and social media managed to put such an incredible campaign behind this movie. It's not good. It's boring. It's a movie I never want to have to suffer through a second time. But then again, IMAX, credit to them. Credit to the social media campaign of getting the younger crowds to show up in droves with the FOMO issue, fear of missing out, and getting them to go to the theaters to go see this, especially in IMAX, and pay the 30% ticket price premium, 40% ticket price premium over standard screens. You know, I mean, that's what has made this movie very, very successful in terms of financial success. And that's really it. Sometimes bad movies do really well, right? Rap albums sell millions and millions of copies in some cases, and they're some of the worst bits of music on planet Earth. They're not even really... There was an old expression, you can't spell crap without rap. Same kind of thing here, I think, in some cases with the Odyssey. I'm kind of goading Jeremy on this one. Again, I'm a huge Chris Nolan fan, and I've been a lover of his work for many, many, many years, all the way back into the late 90s with Memento. But man, this has got to be one of the worst things he's ever made, bar none. And I don't understand. People say this is Chris Nolan's highest grossing box office of all time. It's also, I mean, look, given the subject matter, it should draw in a huge crowd. But it's also 2026 when we have absolutely insane movie ticket prices. And that drives these things to new heights. Speaking of new heights, let's go back out here real quick. Let's get to Spider-Man Brand New Day, $2.2 billion now. The previous Spider-Man entry settled out at about $1.9 billion back in 2021. I think once the dust has settled, and if this movie finishes off around 2.5 to 2.7 billion, which I think is certainly in the reasonable realm of where we're going to land here, pretty much tells you that almost everybody that went to go see Spider-Man Far From Home, No Way Home, Something About Home back in 2021 pretty much showed up to this in equal numbers. Ticket prices since 2021, when the last Spider-Man movie came out, have probably gone up somewhere in the range of about 25 to 30%. So if you take that, if you take 1.8, 1.9 billion and you grade it up 30% to 2026, basically this Spider-Man movie has treaded water with the last one, which is great. People out there, oh, Valiant's trashing the... I'm not. Anytime you're putting the fourth entry in and it's treading water with the third entry on an inflation-adjusted basis, that's fantastic. That's phenomenal. And I had a great time watching this movie. It's a movie that I would enjoy watching again, although I haven't seen it a second time in the theater. And I'll probably watch it again once it gets to Netflix because it's a Sony picture. The money that Netflix is going to shell out basically under their contract to Sony, the money that Sony's going to allocate this year to Spider-Man from the Netflix contract is going to be huge. It's going to probably be at least a couple of $100 million. So everybody is really, really happy with this. Even Disney, who gets to walk home with a good chunk of change from the box office, although about 1/3 of that of which Sony gets to walk home from, or gets to walk away from and take home. So there you have it. Got a few more weeks to go with this. We'll see how it grades out. But again, back to Insidious here. $60 million opening weekend. $18 million production budget. I think financially this one's going to be plenty successful out there. And looking forward to seeing where it goes from here. I'd love to see it continue to roll out, at least get to a 2 to 2.5x. Again, horror movies are a little bit different. They tend to be more front-loaded. That's just kind of how it works. Then you've got Spa Weekend. I saw this. This is terrible. But I hope the budget on this wasn't more than $10 million. But Anna Faris, Isla Fisher, Leslie Mann, okay, I recognize her face, and then some other chick I don't know at the top. A chick movie that went nowhere. Who did this one? Black Bear Pictures. I don't know who Black Bear Pictures is, but I hope they have a contract with Amazon or Netflix because that's the only way this movie is going to make money. I love this. Social setting for the movie, health spa. Health spa is health spa is now a genre of movie. I mean, look, it's Bridesmaids. It's the same chick comedy type of thing that has been made a million times over. There's a reason that Hollywood studios, and honestly, I don't even know why they still make these movies and put them in theaters. These are some of the worst performing films on average for a genre that exists. And no, not just health spa. I'm talking about like girl ensemble comedy. Women don't care about these movies. Women don't give a shit about these movies. Women don't go watch these movies in theaters. $3 million. Is this worse than Bros? What was Bros, which was the super gay comedy that came out a few years ago? It was just a bunch of guys, just 2 hours in a movie theater, and just a bunch of dudes going at it with each other. Everybody wants to go see that, right? Maybe Beardo, but not me. But this is one of those things. These are the kind of movies that should, if you're going to make films that go direct to streaming, Spa Weekend is one of these kind of movies. This is the kind of movie you send straight to Netflix or Amazon, and you just let it get a little bit of grift over there. I'm assuming the studio spent little to nothing on marketing this. They would have been stupid if they had spent more than probably $1 marketing a film like this, because they weren't going to get it back. You drop it in a theater, you get a couple of $1 million to go towards cost recovery on the production budget. I mean, I got to imagine this, the cat with Isla Fisher, Anna Faris, Leslie Mann. I imagine you have a few $1 million wrapped up in the cast just with those three. I don't know about Michelle Buteau up there at the top. I mean, I've never heard of her, so I don't think she's worth a dime, I guess. Maybe she's worth 20 grand to star in a movie. I have no idea. But the other, especially Isla Fisher, Anna Faris, arguably, definitely cost some money. And then you take a check from a streamer. I mean, I'm glad that they're sending movies to theaters. Don't get me wrong, because even what little bit of paltry crap nothing this movie turned in at the box office this weekend, I would suspect that the theaters that actually have an open, or that not an open bar, but have a bar service at them, as many do these days, probably a lot of the women that showed up to go watch this movie probably all got margaritas and Cosmos. So I imagine the bar service for this movie was pretty good. But just like the WNBA, nobody cares. Nobody cares. All right. So I didn't want to spend a lot of time on box office this weekend because there's not a whole lot going on. Now, I will tell you, coming up in the next few weekends, I think as we get into September and October especially, things will start picking up again. So we will see where this goes. But you guys out in the chat, I got a few stories I want to talk about tonight. I'm going to throw it to the chat. Y'all got topics you want me to address. You know how this works. Throw in the super chats. We'll take a look and see. Medmut, VR and kitchen faucet, please no plumber crack jokes. Yeah, no, I know. I had a kitchen faucet I installed probably about 8, maybe 10 years ago now when I redid my kitchen, renovated my kitchen. And it pretty faucet was like the gaskets in there were just going out. Every time we'd use it, the water would shoot out the top of the hose. And I said, it's not worth trying to rip this nozzle apart, replace all this, because it's not one of those that you can easily work on. I found a new one on Amazon for like $150, which was nicer than the one that I had now. And then spent yesterday afternoon working on that. So it's all fixed up. Really cool. Love it. Love it. It's more like a commercial faucet with the handle with the sprayer, or the spray nozzle with the handle, as opposed to the buttons that were on the old one. And the buttons just wore out. The rubber gaskets in there, the buttons wore out. It was pointless. By the time I tore it apart, ordered replacement parts, I was like, just put a new one in, it's better. So, appreciate it. Let's see. Hang on one second. There we go. Let's fix this up. Tennessee Tornado says for $5, Kyle Kirkwood spent 3 hours carrying America on his shoulders today in front of the president. What a unit. What did I miss? And I have not been looking at the news today. What did I miss? Somebody want to tag me on something, and I'll address it. That's wait, let's see here. Oh, the Grand Prix, the Washington Grand Prix. Okay. I was like, wait, I know this name. Okay. The Freedom 250 Grand Prix. I didn't even know this went on today. This is how stupid I am. So we had an F1. See, I like F1. F1's, I don't watch it very often. So there was an F1 Grand Prix in Washington today. That's really cool. Really, really cool. Well, good for Kyle Kirkwood. That's outstanding. Scott Shook says, for 10 months, I'm curious, does Spider-Man Brand New Day have a chance at $1 billion domestically without physical media sales? That's a great question. Let me pull up the chart again because, I didn't actually really pay that close attention. 854 million domestic box office right now for Brand New Day, which is stunning. It actually has a chance to beat Star Wars The Force Awakens on an unadjusted basis. Unadjusted basis, right? Inflation bros, y'all. Because you're going to hear those stories soon. Does it have another 150 million in the tank domestically? It really depends on how long Sony wants to let this. Let's do the math, guys. Let's do the math. That's a great question, Scott. Great question. Let's look at this. Let's see where we're at domestically. So we have let's go to weekly. Weekly box office performance, we're at 510 on the opening week. Then down to 205, now down to 100. You see the drop from weekend to weekend or week to week has leveled off. And a 60% drop following such an enormous opening, like we talked about last Sunday, not a huge surprise. Okay, really not a huge surprise. Because it was so huge to begin with. But the reality is down here, it's graded down to 51%. So let's say it drops another 50% this week and does 50 million, which it's already got 30 million in the bag, or Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, right? Because the weeks, the way they work here, the week starts on a Friday. So we've already got 30 million in the bag. If it just makes another $20 million on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, an average of $5 million per day, which I think is reasonable, then that's another $50 million. That will get the domestic box office over 900. I think if that happens, I think Sony is going to be tempted to try to let this drag out for at least another 60 days. In the theater, Sony doesn't rush to get things to Netflix. Now, the one thing I don't know is how aggressive Netflix is going to be for Sony to release this to their streaming service. I think all of this was very early pre-negotiated with Netflix. I don't think there's a question at this point. At least I hope there's not. And that Spider-Man Brand New Day is going to be given at least 120 days before it sees Netflix. Let's say that Sony gives Spider-Man Brand New Day 90 days clean at the box office and then releases it for PVOD, meaning you can go to the Apple store, you can go to the Amazon store, you can go to wherever you buy movies digitally, which I don't recommend. I recommend you buy the physical media. But they'll have a 30-day window for PVOD and physical media, I would hope, and then have it drop on Netflix. Ideally for Netflix, this is a great movie to have land around Thanksgiving, if not Christmas. This is the kind of movie you want to have show up. You want to have a big movie show up around November, Thanksgiving like this. And I think Spider-Man Brand New Day is perfect for that. So in that regard, it really boils down to Sony giving it its due. It is possible. It is actually very possible that the domestic box office could get to $1 billion before Sony closes it out. So there you go. Thank you, Woke Up a Millionaire, for 10 joules. And Juliet says, stay hydrated for 550 joules. Woke Up a Millionaire, 900 joules. Duckling. Thank you for the duckling, dude. And let's see. Fallen Angel says for 4 months, hey, VR, The latest Bleach, the Calamity episode, just broke the internet, and now fans are getting hyped, plus an epic moment for Orihami. I haven't watched Bleach in a while. I know my daughter watches it. I'll have to ask her about that one. I've seen, I think, a couple of episodes of Bleach. It's an anime, kids. But I'll ask her. I think she's been watching it. Jeremiah Hembry says, for 42 months, let's talk about how Disney could profit from a live service. And when it's going to come out, like you said, they needed a fast service. Yeah. Well, Roku, fast service, live service, you can make channels. And I think Disney didn't they start making channels that just, it's a live loop of Bluey or a live loop of Mickey Mouse Clubhouse or other stuff like that, library content that just loops for you. Disney desperately needs a fast service. They need to overhaul a lot of stuff. Although, and I talked about this last week, some of the stuff I've seen from Disney lately doesn't give you a lot of hope that the woke shit is going to get eliminated from the Walt Disney Company. That being said, I'm still cautiously optimistic and reserved to some degree in my judgment because, I'm sorry, kids, I've seen this story before. As long as Bob Iger is still sniffing butt around the C-suite in terms of being on the executive board, a guy like Josh D'Amaro is going to be cautious. Although we have seen a lot of upshot from studios like Pixar, which were the worst at Disney, that have been systematically eliminating a lot of the woke stuff from the Pixar products, like all of the gay, trans, queer grooming for kids stuff that they produce. So hopefully that continues. Bweezy Bird for $10. One Piece went worldwide viral for the new announcement of God Valley film last night, set for summer of 2027. Could be a sleeper, highest grossing film of 27, along with the next Demon Slayer movie. Don't know much about this one either. One Piece went worldwide viral for new announcement of God Valley film. So I'm assuming you're talking about the One Piece anime. We're not talking about Netflix is going to make a One Piece entry that's going to go theatrical live action. I'm guessing you mean the anime side, which is great. I'd love to see that. I would love to see that. As far as it being one of the biggest films of the year, it could be. Demon Slayer, the first Infinity Castle movie last year, it was the biggest movie in Japan, although globally, I don't think it did. It was one of the bigger movies of the year, but not one of the top movies of the year. And the next entry is the middle entry. There's still a third one yet to come out. So we'll see what happens there. But thank you for the $10, dude. Edward Tanzer, 5 jewels, sends in a treat. Thank you. Snarky says for $5, I think our white-collar brass hole that likes expensive culinary adventures needs to do you. The white-collar brass hole that likes expensive culinary adventures. Gordon Ramsay? Or is it my white collar? I don't know. Snarky for 2, everything will outperform Stupid Girl. That's a really low bar. That's an incredibly low bar. It's one of the worst movies that's been produced. And one of the crappiest movies of this year. Put it this way. Let's do this, Snarky. Let's do this. Where is this stupid movie at? Moana is finishing up at $300 million, which means Disney's going to lose like $200 million on Moana. All right. Supergirl finished up at $126 million. $126 million. $72 million domestically. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll go ahead and call it now. I think Insidious out of the further is going to beat Supergirl. And it cost what? 1/8? 1/8 of Supergirl. Just in production alone. Not even including distribution. There's so many movies that are going to beat Supergirl this year. As there should be. As there should be. Snarky for 2, my daughter loved Paw Patrol in her toddler years. It's still popular, dude. It's still really popular. Packing says for 10, not in the top 5 and still having problems finding an American woman. Know any single Japanese ladies? Somewhere Marvin Montanaro is rolling his eyes. Have you been bugging Marvin about finding Japanese women? Is that the issue? And no, I don't know any single Japanese women. But keep up the good fight, Packing. Thank you for the 10, dude. Thank you. Snarky for 5, Sony, way to go with Spider-Man. Tragically lost with your gaming PlayStation antics. Go away now. Piss off, dumpster fire. Yeah, it's like, how did they make such a really terrible Spider-Man game a couple of years ago? Oh, wait, I don't know why. Because that was back in the day. And remember that game was developed probably 6-7 years ago now. When every game studio was starting to get into this idea of, we have to hire women because they're women. Do they know how to make games? Don't know. Do they know how to write? Don't know. Do they know how to cater to our predominantly 90% male audience in AAA games? Don't know. We wound up with some real winners, though, out there, kids. Thanks to all the white liberal women out there and, frankly, WNBA players.
Here, vegetables. Thank you. So, I'm non-binary.
Who the fuck starts a conversation like that? I just sat down.
Darth Thanos, 1,000 Jules, GOAT Trophy. Good to see you. Thank you very much for the GOAT Trophy. Juliet says for 21 months, Paramount talking to the 12 states this week. Yes, that's one of the stories we're going to get to here in just a moment. Thank you, Juliet. Archer for 5. It's almost like everyone turned against Bonta and said, sit down and negotiate. Yes. Yes. No surprise. Everybody except Rob. And here's the thing. The attorney general of a place like California, he's part of the judiciary. Realistically. Right? I don't know how things work in California. I can tell you in Louisiana, we vote for judges here. I think they vote for local judges in California as well. People like attorneys generals, it's a different political dynamic. It's not like voting for a governor or a mayor. Attorney generals they're not in the same political spotlight as people that are firmly ensconced in the executive branch. Right? Mayors, governors, so on. We can go to the legislative branch, too, with legislators both in the House and the Senate, state House, whatever they call it in California. State assemblymen, state representatives. Every state has a little bit different name. But Bonta's out there just trying to be... Rob Bonta, he runs in the political realm of other attorneys general. Right? Rob Bonta is butt buddies with people like Letitia James in New York. the chick that went after Donald Trump on completely ridiculous false pretenses. Rob Bonta runs with these people, and these people kind of don't care. Their whole job as attorneys is just literally to file lawsuits. This is all they've got. Their entire lives are filing lawsuits on behalf of reasons. And that's the case here. The actual real legitimate politicians that face far more public scrutiny than I'd say an attorney general does in elections. People like the governor, Mayor Karen Bass, Gavin Newsom, the governor, everybody else in the legislature out there. Obviously, they are all screaming for a settlement. And there's a reason for this. Because, number one, they're not going to win. And number two, it's just damaging California. Lord Panther sends a watermelon in for 500 joules. James All Day says for $2, thoughts on Bob Chapek's book. I haven't read it yet. It was coming out. We looked at the release date here. When is that book release? Is it out? If it did, it just came out. Let's see. No, it doesn't come out until September 29th. So we've got about 5-6 weeks before I can really make comments on that. So I'm looking forward to it, and we'll probably cover it here on the show when we get there. Albertus Magnus for $5. Grooming children used to be criminal. Now it's an industry headed up by the Walt Disney Company. It was up until recently. I think that there are definitive signs that there's a corner being turned, at least in some of the studios like Pixar. Albertus for $5. Again, the AG is part of the executive. Yeah, I know it is, but not in the same regard. On paper, it's part of the executive, but people don't regard the AGs that way. I'm talking about in terms of political perception, but I get what you're saying. The state Supreme Court justices are appointed, but must be confirmed by vote at the next election. Okay, so there is still a public vote. We have that here. Our local judges in Louisiana are voted upon, although I don't believe there's a gubernatorial appointment unless there's a vacancy. That would be a temporary fill. Archer says for $2, predicting Nick Shirley Act is unconstitutional. I saw this. Basically saying that you're not allowed to investigate NGOs that were funded by Democrat Party operations, especially when it comes to illegal immigrants, illegal aliens. Yeah, it's God. We're in such a mess. I really don't know what to do with it all. Let's talk about the Paramount situation here. And a couple, I'd say, before we get to that, I'm going to save that one for last because I might go on for a bit. This one kind of made me happy. And we had this last week. I still have this up. So Johnny Depp was in talks for Pirates 6, right? All of a sudden, Jerry Bruckheimer and all them were bringing Johnny Depp back. And I bring this up because we had a bit of an additional piece to this that I thought was fascinating. Wait, what happened to my... Here we go. This story came out from Puck Magazine, I believe, yesterday or day before yesterday. What if moviegoers want Johnny Depp back? It seems to me that the general consensus out there, at least in the real paying movie-going audiences, is that they want Johnny Depp back. And they know Johnny Depp got absolutely hosed and screwed over by an angry psycho woman, Amber Heard. Not that Johnny Depp was perfect. Not that Johnny Depp was blameless or faultless. But in comparison to Amber Heard, we all saw the evidence that came out during the trial, and we all know what the results of that trial were. The once radioactive actor's appearance at Comic-Con last month was the opening salvo in Paramount. David Ellison. Risky but choreographed bet on the post-cancellation resurgence of one of the world's last remaining movie stars. Now, the test screening numbers are coming in, and every studio in town is watching. Now, look, let me tell you what. And good on Puck, and I think this was a Matt Bellany. Yeah, it's a Matt Bellany article, for referring to Johnny Depp as one of the last remaining movie stars. There are a lot of Hollywood actors out there, right? And this is the thing that a lot of people kind of tend to, I guess, kind of forget, or maybe don't always realize. There are a lot of actors that get placed in movies. Some of them are well known. Some of them get a lot of notoriety for their performance. Indy Navarrete right now is a great example. Now, does that mean that Indy Navarrete is a true Hollywood movie star? No. Not yet, anyway. I think she has the potential of becoming one. But when we talk about actual Hollywood movie stars, we're talking about, when people would just real movie stars that could be put in virtually any movie. And that movie would be a massive draw because of that individual. And that person, that actor or that actress, was universally almost adored. That is very few and far between in terms of the number of actors in Hollywood these days, because I think in large part so many of the Hollywood type are just absolutely terrible when it comes to public perception. 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years ago, Hollywood movie stars would not dare dabble in things like politics or religion when it came to things that they would say in public, especially on a global marketing and distribution trail for a film that they were in, that they were promoting, right? But what do we see nowadays, especially from the hardcore left, especially the women in Hollywood? They can't shut their mouths for 5 seconds to realize that, their perhaps multi-million-dollar paycheck for a film is largely contingent upon the fact that film is successful, and the future of their career is contingent upon that film being successful. But they have to come out in many cases, and they have to talk about how much they hate white people, or they hate men, or they hate Donald Trump, or they hate J.D. Vance, and they hate Republicans, and blah, 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 blah. And then they wonder what happened when the entirety of middle America, the vast majority of the regular movie-going public, just abandons them. We've seen this probably with no better examples over the last 6-7 years than actresses that are affiliated with the Walt Disney Company. Think about the Amanda Stenbergs. Think about the Rachel Ziegler's, right? These people will never, ever, ever become true Hollywood movie stars. They have no chance. Just because they're not capable of it. You have a lot of Hollywood actors and actresses these days that are more interested in being TikTok famous or Instagram famous than they are respected for what they do on the stage and screen. And therein lies the rub. And they wonder why things never seem to work out for them in the long term. And we have so many actors and actresses that ramp up popularity, and then within 2 to 5 years, they're completely off the radar and gone. Part of that is the fact that Hollywood has adopted a more TikTok mentality to where they're not looking for actual talent anymore, which is another comment on modern society. What they're looking for is Insta fame. and Insta fame from places like TikTok and Instagram by mostly girls that have little to no talent or skill, other than the fact that they acted like obnoxious bitches on social media. And they got popular for being obnoxious bitches on social media. That's generally how it works in 2026. And Hollywood thinks, wait, they have 1 million followers on Instagram or TikTok. That means we can put them in a movie. It's incredibly rare that that would work out. Almost never. But yet that's what they do. So when we talk about actual real movie stars, Johnny Depp, Tom Cruise is another great example of this. Back in the old days, you had guys like Sylvester Stallone still out there working, doing stuff like Tulsa King. Arnold Schwarzenegger. I can go on down the list of big, like actual, like real big, true movie stars over the last several decades. These are the people that always have the love of the audience and they withstand the test of time. Johnny Depp is one of those people. And proof of that is that Johnny Depp may have gone through the most egregious, it's pronounced egregious, public humiliation that could have ever happened to an individual thanks to his psycho bitch ex-girlfriend, Amanda Turd. Or Amber Heard. Amber Turd. And yet he got through it. He came out on the other side, and the audience loved him even more. Even through all his imperfections, because he didn't offend them personally. Johnny Depp never came out and shook his finger at people and called over half the country Nazis like Pedro Pascal, which is why Pedro Pascal will never, ever be a true Hollywood star. Pedro Pascal will never have the type of fame and adoration from America that people like Johnny Depp do. Because Pedro Pascal has spent the better part of his career acting like a psychologically deranged freak and then taking a piss on more than half the country because they liked Donald Trump. This is also why you can put Pedro Pascal in 100 movies next year and 99 of them are going to fail, if not 100. Is anybody excited to see Pedro Pascal in Avengers Doomsday later this year? No. Johnny Depp, and that's what this article is about. I know it's long-winded, but I had to set this up. This is something I've wanted to talk about for a while. Johnny Depp has had his name dragged through the mud for the last 6+ years, maybe a decade. And again, not a perfect dude. He's got a lot of faults, as we all do. We are all imperfect human beings. We are all children of God, right? And Johnny Depp got a lot of skeletons in those closets, man. But he wasn't what Amber Turd made him out to be. She lied about him, and that was proven in court, according to a jury of her peers, that she lied. Okay? Don't blame me, YouTube. That's what the judgment said. Legal judgment. That's how it works in America. Probably get a channel strike tomorrow. But Johnny Depp's coming back in Ebenezer. And we talked about this not long ago. I'm really looking forward to this movie. And apparently a lot of other people are. Let me tell you, if you guys don't know this, how many of y'all in the chat, have y'all seen the trailer for Ebenezer? Do y'all know what we're talking about here? Yes, no. Ebenezer, coming out this fall. I believe, all right, some people have, some people haven't. Well, nobody's, okay, you haven't seen the trailer yet. Okay. So let's do this. Let me kind of backtrack. Let me bring it up because I will try to get through. I think we played it on a show before. My headphones have disappeared. Okay. All right, I'm gonna let me crank this down. All right, so y'all can see this. I'm gonna keep it small on this side. It's from Paramount. All right. Let me fix this. All right, here we go. If you haven't seen this, and this plays into the Puck article I'm about to read. All right, so it's Johnny Depp playing Ebenezer Scrooge, and I'm just for the sake of, I got to break this up a little bit because YouTube gets kind of stupid with this. This is coming out this fall. By the way, and I mentioned this before, I want to. Wait, let me. Yes, that is Daisy Ridley. That's Ray Palpatine. Yes, that's Daisy Ridley. Apparently, and we talked about this a few weeks ago. Apparently, the Star Wars gig for the new Rey movie is going so well that she has gone out and taken lots of other jobs. So there you go. Daisy Ridley's in the movie. I'm looking forward to seeing Daisy Ridley. I want to see her in something that isn't tied to Star Wars. And I honestly think this is a great movie for her to be in. Yes, and that's Rupert Grint, by the way. Wait, let me back up here. Yeah, there you go. That's Rupert Grint. That's Ron Weasley from Harry Potter. Rupert Grint in this. Looking forward to that. So anyway, that's it. This is coming out this fall. I think the release date is November 13th. November 13th. Can't wait to see it. So in that regard, let me get back to the Puck article here. So there have been some test screenings for this, and I'm genuinely thrilled, and I'm totally unsurprised. I thought the same. I don't know who Rupert Grint is playing. I haven't looked up the IMDb. I thought it was going to be Bob Cratchit. I mean, Rupert Grint would be perfect for Bob Cratchit. I hope that's the case. I really do. I just don't know 100%. It's a little bit different take on A Christmas Carol. I mean, which I understand. A Christmas Carol has been made and told 1,000 ways to Sunday. So when you're going to make something like this, you want to spice it up a little bit differently here. But here's the deal. On August 11th, Paramount studio heads Josh Greenstein and Dana Goldberg trudged into Paramus, New Jersey for a test screening of Ebenezer, their gothic take on A Christmas Carol. So again, this is coming. Think about this. This is what I like about this. Y'all remember, this was back almost 20 years ago now, right at 20 years ago. There was Marvel Studios was trying to reinvigorate their cinematic offerings. And Jon Favreau was sitting down with Ike Perlmutter at the time, and they were talking about making Iron Man. And Jon Favreau said, I want Robert Downey Jr. And Ike was very skeptical of it because of Robert Downey Jr.'s history with a lot of drug and alcohol abuse and all kind of stuff and blah, blah, blah. Favreau made a point of saying basically that, no, trust me on this. He's the right guy for Tony Stark. He's the right guy for Iron Man. We're going to move forward with this. Ike signed on to it, and the rest, of course, is history. Okay? Kind of feel like the same thing here with Johnny Depp. It's taken a guy like David Ellison at Paramount. And again, this is part of the reason that the Hollywood people hate him. Because he's going to go out there and he's going to get Johnny Depp, of all people, to come headline a movie to get put out here. And, and I think I have to go back and look and see what this was greenlit. But, I mean, Paramount's very much behind this. And it took Paramount and David Ellison, for sure, being involved in this to get this put together to say, like, we don't care what the radical, psychopathic, feminist left says about Johnny Depp. We think this guy is still a big movie star. We think this guy still has a lot of fans and can be an amazing actor. Put him in the right role and let's go. And this is where we are. The results were promising for the test screening of Ebenezer. The Ty West directed movie scored an 80, meaning 4/5 of the audience rated it excellent or very good. That's solid for the first cut of an all-audience holiday title. So, put it in perspective. Basically, they shot this movie. They felt like we're pretty close. We might need to tweak it. They do test screenings, as all these studios do. And 4 out of 5 people who watched the test screening to score the film gave it an excellent or very good. That's pretty damn strong for what amounts to a first draft, right? Some movies, look, you got the right director, you got the right story, everything fits in place. There's little to nothing you have to do after the fact. This is a bit of a gamble, especially with a guy like Johnny Depp, at least as regarded in some circles. The fact that the first test screening scored that well, I've said for the last few months, this is one of my most anticipated movies of the year. I'm looking forward to it. I genuinely am. And this is reinforcing my suspicions on this. The historical test screening norm for all movies is a 72, and the top 10% of films score a 93 or better. But whatever, who cares about a random Paramount movie tested? Those scores sometimes correlate with box office, and sometimes they don't. The number of real interest was what the audience thought of the star Johnny Depp. And much to the relief of Paramount executives, David Ellison, and to a certain extent the rest of Hollywood, they loved him. Johnny Depp scored an 86, very high for an actor. The general norm for a lead character is 67. Let alone a guy who just a few years ago was considered banished and unemployable. Women over 35, who you would think might be the most put off by Johnny Depp's personal behavior, rated Johnny Depp most favorably, I'm told, with Depp's scores in the women over 35 demo hitting 90%. Ladies and gentlemen, Johnny Depp is back. Simple as that. And I don't think he was ever gone. Think about all of the absolute social bullshit that we were subjected to during this entire Amber Heard fiasco. All the lies that Amber Heard told. All the stuff, this was all in the hashtag believe women and hashtag me too bullshit. We got subjected to this for years and years on end. And yet, a random test audience, because as far as Paramount is not like Disney, like they used to be, where Disney's test audiences were Disney employees and family members of Disney employees, because allegedly they were too scared to allow anybody else outside of Disney to see a Disney movie before it came out, which I never believed. I think part of it was just so they could get positive feedback, and Disney operated in an echo chamber for so long. It's one of the reasons that their movies have turned to crap so easily and so quickly in the last 10 years. Because they didn't actually have any real audience members giving them feedback on their films before they released to tell them that they were trash. Stop hiring radical LGBTQ mafia people to make your movies. Stop hiring DEI people to make movies. You're not speaking to audiences. Real people showed up. Women over 35 scored Johnny Depp 90%. I don't get it. What happened? Well, I was told that women hated Johnny Depp. I was told that women would never watch Johnny Depp movies again. I mean, none of the women I know said that. But according to social media, like 99% of women were behind Amber Heard and hated Johnny Depp. Explain this. Depp's scores with women over 35 at 90%. Paramount and a representative for Johnny Depp declined to comment on these numbers, which I confirmed with 3 sources. So Matt Bellany, this is 3 different studio sources. 3 telling Matt Bellany that not only is the new Johnny Depp movie Ebenezer scoring extremely well on effectively its first draft with test audiences, or did whenever they did this measurement, but Johnny Depp himself is scoring 90% with women 35 and older. Which are the women you want? That's the women with money that are going to movies. In fact, Matt Bellany says, talking to producers and studio executives over the past few weeks, the possibility of a Johnny Depp comeback is shaping up as a major narrative for the fall. Ebenezer is a relatively small movie, a $40 million budget. 40. I bet 10 of that had to go to Johnny Depp. At least. Even with him being out of the limelight, a $40 million, this movie could potentially make a lot of profit for Paramount. A $40 million budgeted retread of a story done many times before, Christmas Carol, but perhaps similar to Lionsgate making a Michael Jackson movie that the major studios deemed too radioactive, then reaping $1 billion in box office. Paramount is the first of the majors to enthusiastically embrace Johnny Depp after his very public flameout, the firing by Warner Brothers from Fantastic Beasts, which were terrible movies, and that lurid trial in which his ex-wife, Amber Turd, claimed he physically and sexually assaulted her during their marriage. Of course, she was found guilty of libel and slander during that, was she not? Because the jury awarded him money. So a jury said the bitch lied. Bitch lied. I mean, that's what it boils down to. In 2022, a jury found that both stars were liable for defamation. Yeah, but let's be honest here. The judgment was so lopsided in Johnny Depp's favor, it wasn't even funny. It really didn't. It was like, okay, we'll find Amber Turd responsible for 30 counts of this, and we found one count where Johnny said something that we didn't like. Remember how that went? Everybody kind of rolled their eyes. It was like the jury was trying to find a way to DEI the verdict a little bit. We have to make Johnny guilty for something. Let's give him one of them. One of the 30. If Ebenezer works, it'll not only vindicate the risk, albeit small, budget-wise, taken from Greenstein and Goldberg, but also possibly herald the return after 8 years of that increasingly rare commodity in Hollywood. An actual movie star. Here, here, here. Paramount floated a trial balloon at Comic-Con in San Diego. And I think we played some of these videos a few weeks ago, where they had Depp out there in character as Ebenezer to plug the November 13th release by shouting humbug at passersby in San Diego. The whole thing seemed lame and kind of desperate, but the resulting coverage framed the reemergence not as a ploy to fulfill promotional obligations while avoiding media questions about the years of negative headlines. Instead, it played exactly as Paramount had hoped. This guy, Johnny Depp, is about the characters, not the wine glasses he may or may not have thrown at his ex. And this is it. The stories went around. It got on social media, especially on X. Everybody loved it. Everybody flipped out. Oh my God, Johnny Depp is back. Everybody got excited. This was great marketing. And I said it at the time. This was perfect. Everybody was excited. It's the simple little stupid things like this that make all the difference. Anyway, looking forward to Johnny Depp's comeback. Really, genuinely, truly looking forward. I can't wait for November 13th. We're a little less than 3 months away. And I think between Dune and Street Fighter and I think Ebenezer, this is probably the film that I'm most looking forward to between now and the end of the year. I can't think of anything else that I'm this excited about. I really am. I'm trying to think if I'm missing anything. And guys, don't tell me Doomsday in the chat. I don't give a crap about Doomsday. I could not care a wink less. Packing Protons for $5 says, nope, every time I mention finding a woman, Marvin likes to roll his eyes, becoming a running gag. I see. Okay, gotcha. Packing also says for $2, what the puck is going on? Hi, YouTube censors. Like Puck Magazine that we just had up? I guess. Hopefully not. Am I getting shanked out there? Tell me in the chat. I haven't seen anything yet. Appreciate y'all being here. Getting all these super chats here as best I can. And then we talk a little bit about the Paramount thing. Although we still don't have a lot of new news. I'm hoping the other shoe drops this week. Really am. Medmut for 10. I think Morgan Freeman said it best about Johnny Andy Dufresne Depp. He crawled through a half mile of foul-smelling amber turd and came out clean on the other side. You're not wrong. Thank you, Medmut, for the 10. Yep. That was a long haul. Snarky says for 5, Johnny Depp's a national treasure, one of the most unique and eccentric personalities with incredible talent to ever hit silver or TV screens. Yeah, I mean, Johnny Depp, his first appearance was getting his guts ripped out by Freddy Krueger in Nightmare on Elm Street. And we went from there. Snarky for 5. Who do you know who could do a Depp Jack Sparrow? There isn't a person on earth. There's a lot of impersonators, but they're not Johnny Depp. Marcus for 2. Will it be as good as a Muppet Christmas Carol? Muppet Christmas Carol was great. Michael Caine was great. This is going to be a very different tone. I get the impression. So we'll see. We'll see. Let's see. I need 2 seconds here. What have I done? You give me the Morgan Freeman. I don't want to play that one. That's been a while. I tell you what, we'll take a little commercial break here. It's been a while on this one. Screw it.
Jones Barbecue and Foot Massage. Jones Barbecue and Foot Massage. Better come down here, get some of this shit. You like to eat. America loves to eat. So why not open up somewhere America can sit down, enjoy a meal, and get their feet rubbed? We'll fry anything you want for $5.99. As long as it's friable or edible, we're going to make it deliciousable. We will fry parts of the chicken you didn't even know was friable. The beak, the feathers, we'll fry candy bars. All that European stuff that you don't really normally eat, we'll bring it down here and fry it for you. Ask McDonald's to fry something other than what they normally fry. Guess what you're going to get? Nothing. If it fit through the dough, I'll put it in the fryer. Hell, this is a dinosaur. All our meats are gently tenderized to their optimum deliciousness. We got fine dinosaur meats. Took my money, paid me child support. Come on down here and get you a slice. Once they get your social security number, it's over. Motivated. So friends, let's just decide you don't want no barbecue. Well, that's fine too. Why not let one of my foot specialists or myself perform our magic? Look at that, don't they look wonderful? If you really pay me enough, we'll massage your feet in any of these sauces also. Success is the rule down here at Jones Good Ass Barbecue and Foot Massage. So go ahead and give me a call or find us on the worldwide internets at the new website. That's JONES BigAssTruckRentalAndStorage.com/Jones Good Ass Barbecue and Foot Massage.html.
Excuse me, did you call number 52?
Did you hear me call number 52?
One of my favorite. Those are the kind of things that made the internet so great. I miss those. That thing's probably 20-something years old now. Oh, my God. Yeah. I saw that. National Treasure 3 coming up. Yeah, watch out. VR has some bourbon. Yes, I do. National Treasure 3. I saw that. Man, I loved the first National Treasure movie so much, and then I did not like the second one. I tried to like the second one, but it's one of those that I have no desire to watch it again. The first one, I could watch that, once or twice a year and be very happy. The second one, no. I don't know what they're going to do with the third. I feel like we're getting long in the tooth, and I feel like we're just National Treasure 3, the grift for more money. I don't know. I'm not crazy about it. Packing for 5, the puck equals pun. Oh, also nice to know that it'll get past the censors. Well, there you go. Thank you, Packing. I do want to touch on this, and again, it's frustrating that we don't have more information at this point on the Paramount situation, but this has been so fluid and so frustrating, but I did want to mention this. Wait, let me get to this. I almost wanted to have Ron Coleman come by tonight. And I should have. I've just been remiss. I've been too damn busy. I don't think about planning shows out far enough in advance. I need to get back to that to get the guests here to talk about this. But Deadline Magazine, what's next for ABC versus the FCC? So as you may have heard, the Walt Disney Company, by way of ABC, filed a lawsuit, another First Amendment lawsuit against the FCC. Now, if you may recall, the Walt Disney Company has not had the most robust of successes when it comes to First Amendment lawsuit claims in recent years. You may recall they tried to pull this rabbit out of the hat when it comes to Florida a few years ago. Didn't go well. Somebody sent me a turtle drinking water. Call sign Bob sent me a stay hydrated turtle drinking water. Thank you, call sign Bob. Now, of course, all of this kind of stems around the whole Jimmy Kimmel kerfuffle. And we can read through this article a bit, and I'll give you some of my layman's thoughts on this one. And I'll have to get with Ron, and we'll have to have a chit-chat on this one, perhaps. ABC took the extraordinary step of suing the Federal Communications Commission on Tuesday this past week, challenging its investigations and regulatory crackdowns as not merely bureaucratic overreach, but part of a Donald Trump administration retaliatory campaign in violation of the First Amendment. Again, if anybody feels like they've heard this story before, except instead of suing the FCC, it was suing the state of Florida, and instead of Donald Trump administration, replace Donald Trump with Ron DeSantis, you'd be forgiven to feel like you've heard this one before. The case has the potential to be a major legal showdown over the FCC's authority and free speech if it gets to that point, meaning as long as they don't settle out of court. The initial phase of the litigation, in which a judge will decide whether to grant ABC a temporary restraining order, or TRO, to halt an FCC early review of its broadcast stations' licenses, may be heavy in process. Now, let me give you my initial gut reaction on this, short of there being some update to the story that I am not yet aware of. That the Walt Disney Company is going to go out and they are going to shop for another left-wing activist Obama Biden judge that is going to grant a TRO. Okay? That's the most likely scenario. How many times have we seen this in the last few years? How many times have we seen plainly obvious legal situations where a judge, a federal judge, then steps in and pisses in the cornflakes out of the clear blue sky? Not based on law, not based on fact, but based on Orange Man bad. This is going to be another federal judge they're going to dig up for Orange Man bad. I promise you. Okay? I'd be very, very surprised if it goes any other way. That doesn't mean that's what the outcome is going to be ultimately, because it will probably wind up getting appealed no matter what happens. But for the time being, let's go with that. The agency has signaled that it will challenge the lawsuit as premature. In other words, the network has to let the regulatory process play out. The judge in the case, Lauren Ali Khan, plans a hearing in October and set a briefing schedule for next month. Okay. And again, I see where the FCC is going. It's like, you're filing a lawsuit against us for something that we've not done yet. We haven't issued any sanctions. We haven't denied ABC their license. We've simply exercised our authority as the FCC to review your broadcast license early. Now, for those people out there that want to argue their motives behind reviewing the broadcast license, fine. But my understanding is the Federal Communications Commission has the prerogative and the power to do it. They are the regulatory body. That's how it works. Disney's getting upset that they've been selected for early review. Okay. You know, the problem is, too, with the Federal Communications Commission's licenses that a lot of these broadcasters, and we're talking about OTA, over the air. We're not talking about people that broadcast on cable, like Warner Brothers is exclusively on cable. We're talking about actual OTA broadcast licenses, specifically people like CBS, NBC, Fox, and in this case, the Walt Disney Company that owns ABC. There are certain criteria that they agree to when they lease these public airwaves that are governed and regulated by the Federal Communications Commission. Basically, what we have now is the Walt Disney Company and maybe some others that are upset at the fact that the current administration of the FCC under, what's his name, Brendan Carr, I believe. Yeah, Brendan Carr is actually going to hold licensees like ABC, CBS, NBC, Fox, is actually going to hold their feet to the fire to actually perform as they're supposed to. The argument with companies like Disney, I suppose, is going to effectively be, well, Your Honor, nobody has made us do this until now. Well, these were the rules. Yes, but nobody enforced them until now. Them's the rules, though, right? And part of that is you know, if you're going to have a public broadcast license and use public airwaves, then you have a responsibility to provide a public service, number one, and number two, at least as the interpretation goes, should provide, and here's a phrase the left loves, a fair and balanced perspective, especially when it comes to politics and politicians. Now, if anybody out there in the audience wants to argue against the fact that CBS, NBC, and ABC have for decades been extremely left-leaning, you go right ahead and make that argument. I'll laugh in your stupid face. But this is part of the problem. Just because nobody from the FCC until now has decided that we are going to review and potentially enforce these regulations that have been around for quite a long time, just because you've been getting away with it for 30 years doesn't make it right. And this is what they're upset about. And again, the federal government is not challenging anything that is being broadcast or published on non-over-the-air, non-public airwaves, right? The federal government can't go after CNN and pull a business license or a cable contract. They can't go after MSNBC, right? They can't go after, as left-leaning shit as it is, ESPN on Disney. But ABC, CBS, NBC, and Fox are public airwave broadcast stations. They have a special privilege that nobody else does. You cannot go out as a consumer in this country. You cannot go out and get any of these other channels on television for free. But I can go put an antenna right outside my front door, and I can scoop up television stations over-the-air broadcast for free, 100% free, from New Orleans, from Baton Rouge, from Gulfport, from all around here in the Gulf South. I can pull all those television stations in, ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox, PBS, the CW, whatever else is out there. I can get those for free. I don't have to pay anybody for that. That's a special privilege for the people that broadcast those channels. And they have to abide by certain rules. It's like a driver's license. It's not a right. It's a privilege. Right? So we're going to see where this goes. It's a little early on in the game. They want to go after them basically for reviewing their license early right now. So this is going to be something kind of fun to watch. But this is another one of these, I think, this is a stupid, stupid mistake by Disney. It's the hubris of Disney. It's the arrogance of Disney. I think it's largely kind of like, it just feels like this is Bob Iger all over it, or really Dana Walden written all over it. They want to make an ass of themselves again, and they're getting into a legal battle that they're probably going to lose, at least if there's any justice out there, which again, one way or another, no matter who wins at the lower court level, if Disney wins or if the FCC wins, it's probably going to wind up getting appealed. It's going to go to a higher court. But I would not at all be surprised if the judge grants a temporary restraining order, because this article, again, is from Friday, and we're waiting to hear. I imagine sometime this week we'll get an update on this. The other thing we're waiting on an update on is going to be what's going on at Paramount. And as of right now, we don't know. It looks like, and let me switch back over here. I'm going to pull up the X stuff I had saved, because I believe that was a lot better. Wait, what is this? I just see something, Michelle. It's WNBA related, so we got to do this. Enes Kanter was just kicked out of a WNBA game after a player got triggered by... Oh, no. Enes Kanter, that's one of the former NBA players that said, I'm a woman now, and I'm going to declare myself for the 2027 WNBA draft. They kicked him out. So one of the black lesbians, one of the WNBA player black lesbians got mad at him for being there, for wearing. This is the people getting kicked out for wearing XXXY shirts. Oh my Lord! Wait a minute. So I see Michelle posted this. Player aggressively addresses. Wait, I'm zooming the wrong screen. I'm sure she's going to be talking about this on Force Line tomorrow. Player aggressively addresses a paying customer because she doesn't like him, and they kick him out. Can't make this up. So Clay Travis posted this. Let's see what this is. Hang on a second. Where the hell? I'm like, did I? Oh wait, here they are. Did I lose my damn headphones? Hang on a second, because I want to hear this. I haven't heard this clip. I want to hear this. Can y'all hear? Can y'all hear it? Yes? Just want to make sure I got the audio up. No sound? Okay, damn it. That's what I was afraid of. Hang on. I had the audio shared. Share system audio. I must have dumped it. Hang on a second. Here we go. All right, let's do this again. So again, former WNBA player Enes Kanter was one of the guys, along with Royce White, that declared, I'm a woman now, so I'm declaring myself for the 2027 WNBA draft. Enes Kanter showed up at the Chicago Sky game tonight with a shirt on that said, that was like pro-women, a pro-woman shirt.
6-point basketball game. Chicago staying in it. Natasha Cloud.
So she's, okay, I see it. She's walking over there. Now, let me tell you what. Natasha Cloud. This chick probably doesn't make $50,000 a year playing in a professional league. She's screaming at a man who probably made $1 million a year when he was playing in the NBA. Who could run circles around her and everybody on her team single-handedly, right?
Point
What is
basketball game.
what is she screaming at him about? What is another proud, and look, I'd be proud of him, man. Another proud black lesbian woman in the WNBA.
Chicago staying in it. Natasha Cloud.
Wow. Oh no. Look at the offense. I cannot believe. Guys, I'm sorry. I was wrong. I was so wrong. Everybody stop. I want everybody to stop what you're doing. I want you to look at the shirt that Enes Kanter is wearing. Former NBA star Enes Kanter. I'm offended. I'm afraid right now if I leave this up on the screen that I might actually get a strike from YouTube. People asking, could this be a ploy to get them more ratings? No, because again, Cantor's the guy that's like, you want to screw around? Fine. I'll declare myself for the. It's the end. The WNBA is still debating what a woman is. Look at this offensive shirt. This horrible offensive shirt that Kanter is wearing. It says woman. Noun. Adult human female. I'm beside myself. I have never seen something that is so insensitive and so offensive and frankly so anti-science in my life. For this man to show up at the Black Lesbian Basketball Association and wear a shirt like this, describing what a woman is, which she has no business describing what a woman is because the WNBA hasn't figured out what a woman is yet. And the WNBA is, of course, the authority on biological and medical science. And if the Women's Basketball League has not yet determined what the W in WNBA stands for, then by God, this horrible, awful man who is just an evil demon of the patriarchy has showed up and insulted one of these proud black lesbian players. I'm offended.
Right before the break, this was the scene inside Wintrust Arena after Natasha Cloud got that bucket. She wanted her voice heard.
Yeah, I bet she did. You have to wonder why somebody like her gets so angry at something so simple. And I'm going to explain it to y'all, all joking aside. There is a simple explanation here. The level of anger that this Cloud person, who probably couldn't beat a sophomore high school basketball player boy, the offense that this person feels is the same hatred that this person probably has for people like Caitlin Clark and Sophie Cunningham. Sean, I don't even know if they menstruate. I'll be honest with you. I see you out there, bro. I don't know if they actually menstruate. I'm going to hell. God. Okay. The level of anger that they feel towards anybody else, you got to realize these, we'll say women, in some cases, women in this league basically have lived in the gutter of sports fame for 20-something years, 30 years since this league has been around. Nobody cares about the WNBA. Nobody gave a rat's ass about the WNBA until like 2 years ago when Caitlin Clark showed up. Now all of a sudden, it's a thing, right? And the predominant population of the WNBA, black lesbians, are not getting the recognition they want. And now, apart from girls like Caitlin Clark and Sophie Cunningham stealing all the thunder, selling all the jerseys, making all the money when it comes to merchandise and endorsements and everything else. Now, the guys are coming in. And they're black guys. Now the guys are coming in from the NBA to clown on some of these women. Specifically, and let's be honest, and this is what they really hate, and this is the reason I keep saying it, they're clowning on the black lesbians. They're clowning on the fact that the women's basketball league, that men like Enes Kanter, during their career as NBA players, which was a league that made a ton of money, had to cough up some of their compensation to turn over to the girls who were producing nothing. Nothing. And now, all the time that they spent supporting the women out there, not only in terms of financial support, but also in terms of promoting the women's basketball league, now people like him and Royce White have to sit there and watch these ass clowns dither over what a woman is. So Enes Kanter shows up and wears a shirt to a game to tell these stupid women on the basketball court what they are. And by extension, who should be allowed to play in their league versus who should not be allowed to play in their league, because they can't bring themselves to say that, no, we can't have trans women, whatever the hell that means, playing in here. We can't have men playing dress-up pretend in the women's basketball league. And the men are rightfully making fun of stupid liberal women, especially the stupid white liberal women that run this stupid league. Enes Kanter's a legend, man.
We have talked about the conversations
and security kicks him out.
That is Enes Kanter in the building today. And he has voiced how he's felt about the situation.
and Caitlin Clark was there. I didn't realize they were playing the Fever.
Natasha Cloud.
Look at her face. She's got, and look, Caitlin Clark needs to get on the right side of things. I get the fact that she wants to be quiet and she doesn't want to get herself embroiled in any kind of controversy. She doesn't want to speak out on anything, and I do respect that. But there's a point you have to get to where you need to be a little bit more Sophie Cunningham. You need to be a little bit more, oh, screw these bitches. Let me tell you what I think. Again, I understand Caitlin Clark wanting to be that way, but this is not like, it's like, well, Michael Jordan never got into politics. Yeah, but the problem is nobody in the NBA got into politics back in the 80s. Not really. 2026 is different, and the rest of this league has its head shoved so far up its own ass that the color of the sky is actually brown in their world. This is the problem. You're going to have the people like Caitlin Clark speak out and make it clear. No, this is a league for women. Look at the rally and I'd say this keeps going on. If Sophie Cunningham continues to be America's voice when it comes to protecting women and protecting girls in women's sports, 6 months from now, maybe not even, there's going to be more Sophie Cunningham jerseys sold than Caitlin Clark ones. And between Sophie Cunningham and Caitlin Clark, they represent like 75% of all of the jerseys sold for WNBA players. It's just nothing close.
Voicing her opinion as well. Cantor was just escorted out. 6-point basketball game. Chicago staying in it. Natasha Cloud.
I'm so mad.
And right before the break, this was the scene inside.
Look at the old white guy sitting behind Cantor. Look at the old white dude right above me. He's wearing a Caitlin. I swear it's either a Caitlin Clark or a Sophie Cunningham jersey. Old white dude is watching Cantor taunt these stupid chicks with what is a woman's shirt, and he is laughing his suburban ass off. Oh, this made my day. This made my day.
Wintrust Arena after Natasha.
Look, he's watching the circus. He's watching the circus.
Cloud got that bucket.
Sean says, look at Chocolate Thunder holding Ennis back for no reason. I didn't wait, what did I miss? Oh, you talking about fake blonde?
Before the break,
yeah, what's her name? Yeah, we were talking about her last week. Yeah, the white wannabe. It's like, I hate white chicks, but I'm gonna try to look like one as best I can. I don't understand. I truly do not understand the racism. I don't understand the anti-white racism. I mean, it's so hard. Like the jealousy has brought them to that or something. It's just insane. It's like if I were them and I have been fighting and struggling to get national attention for 25 years in a league that nobody cares about, in a sport, women's basketball, that nobody in terms of at least a commercial viability perspective cares about, and somebody like Caitlin Clark shows up, and all of a sudden people are tuning in. All of a sudden, people are watching you. All of a sudden, more people know who you are, meaning you have a better chance of making more money. You have a better chance of getting endorsement deals, and you hate them? You're retarded. You're just retarded.
This was the scene inside Wintrust Arena after Natasha Cloud got that bucket. She wanted her voice heard.
Yeah, she wanted her voice heard. Nobody cares about your voice. Nobody knew who the hell Natasha Cloud was before I played this clip on my shitty little YouTube channel. let's be honest. I just gave Natasha Cloud more exposure than she's ever had in her whole NBA career on my crappy little tiny YouTube channel. I feel sorry for all 4 jerseys that she sold last year, while Caitlin Clark sold about 400,000. Oh, my Lord. That is funny as hell. Packing Proton says great. Oh, I'm sorry. Reckless Bros. I'm looking at the wrong one. Reckless Bros says great show as always for 19 months. Thank you for being here, man. Retro Meister for 5. WNBA ruined Lola Bunny's character for Space Jam Woke Legacy along with its director. Sophie Cunningham is the real-life Lola Bunny of the WNBA. I didn't watch the new Space Jam. You talking about the one with LeBron or whatever? Wasn't it? I didn't watch it. I didn't realize. So the WNBA, now I didn't know that the WNBA was involved with the new Space Jam movie? That's horrible. I bet they did ruin it. They ruined everything else. Ham the Third for $5. What is on the shirt? Woman, noun, adult, human, female. What she saw, women, birthing person. Thank you, Ham. Big Blue for 10 months. Get ready, VR. Kickoff is coming. Go Gators, F Georgia, and Florida State, and Tennessee, too. Sorry you got stuck with Lane. Chomp, chomp. I tell you what, Big Blue Horses. He's talking about SEC football. We'll see how it goes this year. I don't know what LSU's prospects are. We'll see. But, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Here's the problem, Big Blue. I've probably never been less excited about college football as I am this year. And it's only going to get worse. And that's because of the NIL. The NIL, where colleges are now allowed to trade players and pay players like the NFL, it's kind of over, dude. You've got probably 3 to 5 colleges in this country that have a shitload more money than everybody else. And they can buy all of the best players. Basically, they can buy championships almost every year. It's only going to get worse. I mean, you know, the average Power 5 quarterback right now, or like if you go to one of the top schools, the average quarterback is like, what, $8.5 million to $10 million a year? That's college kids. Schools like Tennessee and Florida State, and I'm sorry, even Gainesville, even Florida, they ain't got the kind of money to compete against places like Texas, dude. LSU, even. LSU's got a lot of money that comes through here, but when you're talking about like over time, schools like USC, Texas, even Oregon, think Silicon Valley and all that kind of stuff. Those are the schools that have comparably endless money supplies to buy teams now because of the NIL. It's not the same world anymore, dude. I hope I'm wrong, but I don't think I am. Unless they change it, they better do it quick. It's why Nick Saban retired. You think Nick Saban just said, I don't want to do this anymore? Nick Saban retired because of the NIL. Nick Saban knew it was over because Alabama doesn't have the kind of money to compete in the NIL, to literally go out there and just buy players for cash, which is what you have to do now. It's legal. You got to go out and buy players for cash money, millions of dollars a year. Alabama didn't have the money. That was it. Marcus for $5. Tonight's episode of Renegade Nation brought to you by the letters W, N, B, and A. Indeed. Dave Chandler for 15 months. The other WNBA players are going to smack Caitlin Clark around no matter what she says or does, so she might as well do the right thing. That's my opinion. Why not? You want to play in the Black Lesbian League, then okay. I mean, I get it. But you cannot let them continue to literally run you over on the court. The league doesn't want to do anything. If I'm Caitlin Clark, she doesn't need to play in the WNBA. She can go play in another. She can go play anywhere she wants. She's still going to be a superstar because she's so beloved by her target demographic, which is young girls. They look up to her. Younger women look up to her. She's that kind of role model. She's very classy. But my point with Caitlin Clark is that she is, in 2026, you cannot allow yourself to become classy to a fault. And it's very easy. It's a very fine line these days. You have to stand up. And I'm glad Sophie's doing it. I speculated a few weeks ago when Shell was here. I said, I asked y'all, I was like, do you think that there's some kind of unspoken agreement between Caitlin and Sophie to where, she tell Caitlin, you keep being you and you let me take all the punches and I'm going to go out there and I'm going to be the bad girl, quote unquote bad girl, which I don't think she is, but you get the point. Kind of wonder. Marcus for 5, Ennis was only showing how far away Reese will miss the basket by having his arms out. So I can't understand why they would be offended. I don't. Angel Reese is not on the Chicago Sky anymore, though. Marcus, I think she's with the Atlanta Trash. That's the name of their team, right? The Atlanta Trash. Pretty sure it's the Atlanta Trash. I heard it was.
Trash?
Okay. Didn't expect that one tonight. As far as Paramount is concerned, to get back to that real quick, there is a lot of pressure right now for Rob Bonta. We talked a little bit about this earlier in the show with the Super Chat. There's a lot of pressure right now for Rob Bonta to settle. Now, allegedly, settlement talks are supposed to commence formally, informally, not quite 100% sure, tomorrow or sometime this week. So we're going to see where this goes. My concern is that some of the concessions that the Attorney General of California is going to want, as is Letitia James, speaking of WNBA types, Letitia James is going to want from Paramount, which is they're going to want to handcuff them to not leave California and to promise X amount of this and that, to which if I'm Paramount, I'm going to tell them to go eat a bag of dicks. I'm not going to sign away my constitutional rights of free travel. If I want to, if I decide that my business needs to uproot and move. Now, if they say, hey, you need to stay here for the next 5 years, and then in turn, Paramount's going to say, fine, then you have to agree to these terms and tax incentives for us. If you really want us to keep us here, then I'm sorry, we're not going to sit here and suffer under your shitty California Democrat rule. You cost too much. You're costing us 20, 30, 40, 50% more than if we would leave and go to Texas or Tennessee. Now there's stuff about talking about Austin, Texas for Paramount. There's been talks about Nashville previously for Paramount. I think, honestly, look, I think a lot of this is David Ellison and Paramount going ahead, and they're getting offers from places like Austin and Tennessee, and they're talking to these places. And I think they're jamming them up in the news stories to make it very obvious that we have very big potential suitors that want to lure us away with legitimate tax and business incentives, in addition to the fact that their states, Texas and Tennessee, are already exponentially superior economic and financial environments to operate a business. And they're going to give us more. They're putting this out in the news to try to make the position of Rob Bonta and Tisha James and the other 10 dickheads that are suing Paramount from the other 10 dickhead liberal blue states, they're trying to make it as untenable as possible for them to make this argument. Remember, they've already passed muster with the Federal Trade Commission. They've already passed muster with the European Union. They've passed muster with the United Kingdom. They've passed muster with Mexico, as if Mexico matters in anything. They don't. But they did. They passed muster with them. Somehow, these 12 retards are trying to stop this based on the premise of we don't know what. You've now got all the major theater chains. You've got Cinemark. You've got Regal. You've got AMC. You got everybody that has backed the idea of make a settlement. We're supporting the merger, make a settlement. Gavin Newsom wants a settlement. You got all these other, settle this, get out of this, in the lawsuit. Because they all know that if they push through with this lawsuit, the only real outcome, one way or another, is that Paramount is going to take all of its money and its jobs and they're going to jog on to California. They're going to say, we're out. We're leaving. Because Gavin Newsom doesn't want to be the guy going into a 2028 presidential election cycle as the governor of California running for the Democrat Party nomination to the White House. He doesn't want to be the guy that other Democrats and Republicans especially can point to and say, this is the guy that finally, this is the Democrat lunatic that finally collapsed Hollywood. This is the guy that was so far left, he was too far left even for Hollywood, and they left. They packed up and they left. Doesn't want to be that guy. Retro for 5 in an interview back in 2021. Malcolm D. Lee mentions he worked with the WNBA in order to make Lola Bunny's character and design no longer a sex object. Well, that makes sense because basically almost nobody in the WNBA is a sex object unless you also happen to be a black lesbian. And a pretty ugly one at that. Not like porno lesbians. We're talking WNBA lesbians. Okay. So, makes sense. All right, guys. Appreciate y'all hanging out tonight. We're going to get on out of here. As soon as we get like some actual legitimate updates in terms of settlement with Paramount. Well, I'd said most. Yeah, exactly. You've got the Sophies and the Lexis. You've got some hot girls in the WNBA. They are the exception, unfortunately, not the rule. Right? And that's why they're so hated, because they're not fugly lesbians. That's why they really don't like them. And they're a lot more popular than the other ones. So, oh man, thank you, Daniel. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out here. Good to see everybody. We'll catch you on the next one. Take care and have a good evening.